Now, let's talk about how I allocate my cash every year. And obviously, I don't want to have too much cash or too little cash set aside, right? If I have too much cash, I could potentially lose the purchasing power to inflation, right? If I have too little cash, then I could potentially risk taking money out of my investments and end up paying 15% in capital gains tax. You also don't want to have too much in retirement and not much in cash at all. So, what I do is balance my cash savings, retirement savings, and investments for my early retirement. But in my joint checking account with my wife and I always keep at least 1 month of expenses carried over month. So if 1 month of my expenses is $3,000, then I keep $3,000 in my checking account month over month. But keep in mind that I only do this after I have paid off all of my debt. But since I'm debt free, I like to have that cushion in my checking account. And keeping that $3,000 balance would prevent us from getting hit with overdraft fees. And you don't have to do $3,000, but you can do something like $1,000 or $1,500. It's completely up to you. And speaking of an emergency fund, we like to keep at least 6 months of our expenses and a rainy day fund in a high yield savings account. When you're just starting to build your emergency fund now, keep in mind that you should have a rainy day fund before an emergency fund. This account should only be used for something necessary and unexpected. A rainy day fund is when you need the cash right away to replace a blown tire, medical or dental deductibles, or something else that's urgent and unexpected. An emergency fund is used to cover your living expenses while you're looking for a new source of income. You need to take the time to add up all of your essential expenses. What happens if you lose your job tomorrow? What happens if the debt ceiling just collapses next week? How much do you really need to save in order to survive for 3 months or 6 months without any income? The next savings account we have is for our annual expenses. What you probably don't realize is how much you spend on annual subscriptions, car maintenance, DMV registrations, taxes, and other annual or semi annual expenses that could cost you $300, $500, or $1,000 in one time expenses. We categorize this savings account as necessary and expected. So keep that in mind that an emergency is for anything that's necessary and unexpected. But an annual expenses fund is for something that's necessary and expected. And the next savings account that we have is our discretionary fund. This is used for anything unnecessary but expected. What's considered unnecessary? That would be anything that is not essential or necessary. Something discretionary would be something like birthday presents, birthday parties, concerts, sporting events, anniversary celebrations, and Christmas presents. Most of these events I mentioned could cost you $200, $300, or even more for a single event. How much do you think you'll spend on a hockey game, right? How much do you spend on your kid's birthday party? And how much do you think you'll spend on your Christmas shopping? These are the things you're going to have to think about when it comes to the discretionary fund. Like my wife and I went to the Golden Knights game. What was it? Last week on Game One against Dallas Stars. That cost about $200 to eat and drink at the game. It's pretty expensive to go to the Golden Knights game. But yeah, something like that. And the next savings account is my favorite one, and this is my travel fund. This is obviously for something that's not necessary, but more on the discretionary side. The reason why I separated this from the discretionary fund is because I tend to purchase plane tickets at least 3 to 6 months in advance. And there's more planning that goes into it when it comes to traveling, right? Hotels, rental cars, plane tickets, and all that. My wife and I, well, at least me, I think both of us, we all agree that we want to travel overseas at least once a year and stateside 4 to 5 times a year because we love to travel. We want to make sure that we have enough cash saved in our travel fund so we can purchase plane tickets 3 to 6 months in advance and get them at a discount. And the last savings bucket would be more for something you're going to purchase for just one time. This is also called a major sinking fund. You could be saving for a vehicle, home improvement like upgrading your kitchen, or a down payment on your first home. My rule of thumb is If it's something I'm going to purchase within the next 36 months or 3 years, then I'm going to keep it in cash in a high yield savings account or CDs. If it's something I'm going to purchase in 3 years or more, then I'm going to move that to a separate taxable brokerage account and invest in an index fund or something like that. You need to assess your risk versus reward before you decide to put it in a high yield savings account or a taxable brokerage account. But how do you prioritize your cash allocation? My financial independence checklist that I showed you earlier actually helps you. It can help you navigate your investment priority. After you calculate your fire number, you're going to know what your current annual expenses are going to be and what your annual expenses are when you retire, right? The next step is to save your rainy day fund in your emergency fund, but only up to your deductibles. If your car insurance deductible is $500, so your medical insurance deductible is another 500, and your homeowner's insurance deductible is $1,000, then I would recommend saving at least $2,000 in cash in your rainy day fund. And the next step is to contribute to your 401k up to the employer match. If they don't offer you one, then just simply skip the step. And after you pay off your debt, like credit cards, personal loans, student loans, and car loans, then you want to work on maxing out your emergency fund, saving anywhere between 3 and 6 months of your expenses. And once you have your emergency fund fully funded, then you can move on to creating your financial stability by maxing out your long term investments. I am currently on steps 8 and 9, working to achieve financial independence so that I can retire early by age 45. And I'm saving at least 70% of my income and building generational wealth at the same time. And I wouldn't start working on saving for the travel fund or the discretionary fund until you finish at least step 5 of my financial independence checklist. And this is how I prioritize my cash accounts. Okay. I have my emergency fund that is set aside, and I'm not going to touch it unless I need to use it for something necessary and unexpected. A blown tire is necessary and unexpected, but buying a TV is not necessary, right? If I ever use my emergency fund, I make sure to put the money back over time so that it's fully funded again in a month or 2 months. The second priority is my annual expenses fund, which is only used for anything necessary and expected. My annual DMV registration fee in Nevada is actually uh, it's actually a lot higher than other states. So that's considered necessary and expected. And it'll cost me probably like $400 or $300 every year. A birthday party is not necessary, so I won't use that annual expenses fund to throw a birthday party or something like that. The third priority to me, because I love to travel, will be the travel fund. And I make travel a priority every year because it's something I am passionate about. And what's your passion? Let me know in the comment section down below. What are you passionate about? You know, some people, like some of my clients, are passionate about going hunting. So they want to get all the hunting gear every year, and they actually set up a sinking fund or their hunting discretionary fund to put some money away. So they have that money to buy new equipment every year. You know, so if you like computers and if you're a gamer, what kind of you want to upgrade your hardware or software, you know, you have your own discretionary fund. If you're not passionate about travel, you can always do other things just to buy something that you love. This is why I want you to really just focus on not just the long term retirement. And I know a lot of people are saying that, oh, you need to focus on your retirement and all that. You can do it at the same time. You can do retirement and have fun at the same time. Okay. The only time that I don't think you should have as much fun is if you're in a massive amount of debt. Okay. That would be the time for you to really, really focus on paying down your debt. Okay. And I want to show you this. Okay. You can download it for free by visiting firesuchet.com/resources. And let's say I want to travel I want to save for travel this year in 2023, and I get paid bi-weekly, right? So if I save $100 every 2 weeks, so by the end of the year, I'm going to have $2,650 or $2,600 by the end of 2023. And I'm getting paid 4% in APY from a high yield savings account. Okay. And let's say I want to purchase a plane ticket in May. I want to go to New York City. Okay. at the end of May. So I'm going to purchase my plane ticket in May. And you see how I still have $308 left in my travel fund, right? If I don't travel until September, I'll still have over $1,200 saved by the time I travel to New York in September. And I can also put in another $700 for food and transportation in September. And I'm still going to be in net positive with $600 left in my travel fund. The key is to consistently save $100 every single 2 weeks or every time you get paid. So you don't need to take out any debt when you're ready to travel. And did you know that American people, use the buy now, pay later service to pay for travel? And those interest rates are getting outrageous, ridiculous if you fail to make your payments. The way I do it is I use my credit cards and to make traveling purchases and then pay them off right away with my travel fund. And I never carry a balance on my credit card using this cash saving strategy. And I love to stay at like say Marriott, right? So I got a Chase Marriott credit card. If I spend $1,000 on a Marriott hotel in New York, then I use my Chase Marriott credit card to earn points and then use my travel fund that I showed you earlier to pay off the balance. You should never use your credit card with money you don't have. I'm going to show you the savings rate calculator in the next segment of this live stream. And I always plan carefully before making a big purchase. And this is why and how so many Americans get into credit card debt in the first place, because they use their credit cards with the money they don't have.